Who is the Demiurge in Gnostic teachings? The Demiurge is one of the most misunderstood figures in all of Gnostic thought. Popular culture often reduces the Demiurge to a cartoon villain, a Satan-like rebel who wages war against God. That picture is inaccurate. In Gnostic teachings, the Demiurge is not the ultimate evil, nor is he the equal opposite of the highest God. He is something more subtle, and in many ways more unsettling. A limited creator who believes he is supreme because he does not know what lies beyond him. Understanding the Demiurge requires stepping outside later Christian moral frameworks and entering the metaphysical logic of Gnosticism. The core conflict in Gnostic cosmology is not good versus evil. It is knowledge versus ignorance. The Demiurge represents ignorance elevated to authority. The meaning of the term Demiurge. The word Demiurge comes from the Greek demiurgos, meaning craftsman or artisan. Even before Gnosticism, this term appeared in Greek philosophy, most notably in Plato's Timaeus, where the Demiurge is a cosmic craftsman who shapes matter according to higher forms. Plato's Demiurge is not evil, but he is not the highest principle either. He works with pre-existing material and is constrained by it. Gnostic thinkers inherited this idea and radicalized it. In their systems, the Demiurge becomes the ruler of the material cosmos, a being who fashions the world but does not originate ultimate reality. He is powerful within his domain, yet fundamentally limited. He is not the source, he is downstream from it. This distinction is critical. The Demiurge is not evil because he hates goodness. He is dangerous because he mistakes himself for God. The Demiurge's place in Gnostic cosmology. Most Gnostic systems begin with a transcendent source, often called the Father, the invisible spirit, or the monad. This source is beyond language, beyond form, and beyond domination. From this source emanates the Pleroma, the fullness of divine reality expressed through Aeons. Aeons are living expressions of divine qualities, such as mind, truth, life, grace, and wisdom. Sophia, wisdom, is often the Aeon whose movement initiates the drama that leads to the Demiurge. Her desire to know the source directly results in a rupture or imbalance within the divine order. This rupture produces deficiency, a state of lack or distortion. From this deficiency emerges the Demiurge. In texts such as Apocryphon of John, the Demiurge is portrayed as coming into being without full knowledge of the higher realms. He is generated outside the harmonious balance of the Pleroma. Because of this, he lacks awareness of the source that produced him indirectly. He exists in a closed system of perception. This ignorance shapes everything he creates. Ignorance, not rebellion. One of the most important corrections to popular misunderstandings is this. The Demiurge does not rebel against the highest God because he does not know the highest God exists. His error is epistemological, not moral. He is blind, not malicious in the way later demonology imagines. This is why many Gnostic texts depict the Demiurge declaring himself the only God. Statements like, "I am God and there is no other," are not presented as defiance. They are presented as tragic irony. The Demiurge speaks truthfully according to his limited horizon. He genuinely does not see beyond himself. From a Gnostic perspective, this is more dangerous than open rebellion. A rebel knows there is something higher. The Demiurge does not. The Demiurge is false authority. The Demiurge's defining trait is false ultimacy. He governs the material cosmos and enforces order within it, but he treats that order as absolute. He demands obedience not because obedience is good, but because obedience stabilizes his system. In many Gnostic texts, the Demiurge is associated with law, rigidity, hierarchy, and control. This does not mean all law is bad. It means law without Gnosis becomes a cage. When rules replace understanding and compliance replaces truth, authority becomes oppressive, even if it believes itself righteous. This is why the Demiurge is often associated with the god of strict legalism rather than the god of living fullness. He governs through command, threat, reward, and punishment. He does not govern through revelation. The Archons and the Demiurge's system. The Demiurge does not rule alone. He is surrounded by Archons, ruling powers who administer the lower cosmos. Archons are extensions of the Demiurge's authority. They enforce order, boundaries, and identities within the material world. Archons are not always depicted as monsters. Often they are bureaucratic, mechanical, and impersonal. They regulate time, fate, social roles, and psychological conditioning. Their purpose is not primarily to torment, but to maintain stability. Stability, however, comes at the cost of awakening. In Gnostic thought, the Archons are responsible for keeping the divine spark trapped. They distract, intimidate, confuse, and normalize forgetfulness. They reward conformity. They punish deviation. They make ignorance feel safe and knowledge feel dangerous. The Demiurge is the architect of this system. The Archons are its managers. The Demiurge and the creation of humanity. One of the most striking aspects of Gnostic myth is the creation of humanity. In many accounts, the Demiurge and his Archons fashion the human body, but they cannot give it true life. The body is animated only when a spark of divine light from the higher realms enters it. This creates a paradox. Humanity belongs to two orders at once. The body is part of the Demiurge's world. The spark is not. This inner tension explains the human experience of longing, dissatisfaction, and alienation. The soul senses that it does not fully belong to the system that governs it. The Demiurge seeks to keep this spark dormant. He does not want humanity to awaken to its origin. An awakened human being threatens the closed system by remembering something beyond it. Why the Demiurge is not Satan. Later Christian theology collapses many figures into one adversary. Gnostic cosmology does not. The Demiurge is not a fallen angel who rebels against God. He is a craftsman who never knew God. This difference matters. Satan in later theology is often portrayed as knowingly opposing God. The Demiurge does not oppose what he does not know. His tyranny is rooted in blindness, not hatred. This makes him more psychologically realistic and more relevant. The Demiurge resembles systems that sincerely believe they are the highest authority. Political regimes, religious institutions, and social structures often behave this way. They are not always consciously evil. They are convinced of their own necessity and righteousness. That conviction allows harm to be committed without awareness. Salvation as escape from the Demiurge's authority. In Gnostic thought, salvation is not forgiveness from the Demiurge. It is liberation from his jurisdiction. The Savior figure, often identified with Christ, does not come to reconcile humanity to the Demiurge. He comes to reveal the higher God beyond the Demiurge. This revelation undermines the Demiurge's authority without attacking it directly. Once the soul knows there is something higher, the Demiurge's claim to ultimacy collapses. His laws lose their absolute power. His punishments lose their terror. His rewards lose their seduction. Gnosis is the act that breaks the spell. The Demiurge and religious trauma. One reason the Demiurge remains so compelling today is that many people have experienced institutions that resemble him. Systems that demand obedience while suppressing questioning. Authorities that claim moral superiority while producing fear. Structures that reward compliance and punish insight. Gnostic texts give language to this experience without dismissing spirituality itself. They say the problem is not God. The problem is confusing God with a system of control. This distinction can be profoundly healing. It allows people to separate genuine spiritual longing from the institutions that harmed them. It allows faith without submission to false authority. Is the Demiurge purely evil? In some Gnostic systems, the Demiurge is portrayed as cruel and hostile. In others, he is more tragic than monstrous. He is limited, frightened, and defensive. His violence comes from insecurity. He enforces control because he senses instability. This ambiguity is important. Gnosticism does not flatten reality into simple villains. The Demiurge is a symptom of cosmic imbalance. He is what happens when creative power is severed from wisdom. In some interpretations, the Demiurge himself is redeemable through knowledge. In others, he remains fixed in ignorance. The texts differ. What remains consistent is that he is not the final word. The Demiurge as an inner principle. Many modern readers interpret the Demiurge psychologically. He represents the part of the mind that mistakes conditioning for truth, the inner authority that insists this is all there is, the voice that fears uncertainty and demands rigid order. In this sense, the Demiurge is not only external. He operates internally whenever fear replaces curiosity and control replaces understanding. Gnosis dissolves his power both cosmically and psychologically. Why the Demiurge matters. The Demiurge matters because he names a real pattern. Systems that confuse power with truth, authorities that demand obedience without insight, structures that claim ultimacy while blocking access to deeper reality. Gnosticism does not ask you to fight the Demiurge with rage. It asks you to see through him. His power depends on ignorance. Once knowledge appears, his rule weakens. The Demiurge cannot stop awakening. He can only delay it. Final summary. The Demiurge in Gnostic teachings is the ruler of the material cosmos, a limited creator who believes himself to be supreme because he does not know the higher source. He governs through law, hierarchy, and control rather than revelation and wisdom. He is supported by Archons who enforce ignorance and keep the divine spark asleep. He is not the ultimate evil, nor is he the ultimate power. He is a false authority sustained by blindness. Gnosis exposes his limits. Revelation dissolves his claim. Awakening restores the soul to its true origin beyond his reach. Understanding the Demiurge is not about fear, it is about discernment. It is about learning the difference between authority and truth, between order and wisdom, between a system that demands obedience and a reality that invites remembrance.